Well, hello. Good evening. I do believe that we are live and you are in the right spot. This is the Susie L. McMahon Virtual Book Club. I am the host this evening, Melissa Whiteford St. Clair, and we are on tonight to say hello again to our friend Rebecca Bruff and to welcome our friend Carolyn Mason. Before we get started, I would love to read each of their bios. Is that okay, ladies? Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Melissa. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Okay, well, and hopefully folks will start joining us. We are on a few minutes early, but we will watch for folks to come on and hopefully they will do the replay if they can't join us live this evening. So without further ado, to introduce formally Rebecca Bruff. Rebecca Bruff is the author of the award-winning novel Trouble the Water. Inspired by the true story of Beaufort's Robert Smalls. Bruff holds master's and doctoral degrees in theology and has written numerous sermons, lessons, wedding homilies, and funeral eulogies. She is currently working on her second novel and authors the popular Substack ? Where she explores topics such as love, grief, wonder, hope, spirituality, and family. Rebecca Bruff. And Carolyn Mason. Carolyn Mason has taught personal essay writing to college and graduate students at the University of Alabama. Her essays have appeared in magazines, newspapers, and online publications, and currently contributes first-person stories to the local Lowcountry Weekly, one of my favorite reads. Mason's the author of the Substack Accidental Insights, where she explores retirement, aging, and the joy of grandparenting. So again, I wish you a good evening, Rebecca and Carolyn. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
So we'll go ahead and get started. We are still just a fraction before the hour, but we're going to just move right along. A question for each of you. When or how did you get started writing?
You want to go first, Carolyn?
I can't think of a time when I didn't write, all the way from diaries from a little child wanting to be Harriet the Spy. But professionally, when I was in my 20s, I started working in newsrooms and on magazine staffs. So that has continued in all kinds of various iterations throughout my career.
Nice.
Yeah. So kind of in the same vein, I can't think of any time that I didn't love to read and play with stories. And I have these really fun memories from childhood. I grew up in Amarillo, up in the panhandle of Texas. And every now and then we would get a snow day, and get to stay home from school. And my mom would set up a card table, and my sister and I would, make things up and write things down and draw the pictures to go with them and staple them together and call it a book. Which my memories of that are really a lot of fun. But when I went to school, to college, I had no idea what I wanted to do at all, completely clueless. And in the interest of efficiency, I took placement tests and placed out of the things I love the most, like reading and writing and all of that. So I never took an English class or a creative writing class. And I still really wish someone had been a little bit more directive in what might have been helpful. But a decade or so after undergrad, I went to seminary and I got to read, and I was assigned papers to write and got to do research and write, and sort of rekindled the love of that. So
That's awesome.
that's kind of where all that started. It's always kind of been in there, and then finally got a chance to come out and play a little bit.
And so since
I will say, I do wish I could have been in some of Carolyn's creative writing classes a long time ago. That would have helped.
Those were fun
I asked her
times.
for advice a lot because I never got it.
That's cool. Well, and we had said about this live that Becky, you were going to introduce Carolyn. So how did the two of you meet?
So Carolyn and her husband Jeff actually met my late husband Tom before I got to meet Carolyn and Jeff. Carolyn can say more about this, but they were sort of in the process of exploring new communities, and a mutual friend introduced them, and so Tom got to know him and was super excited about having these really cool new friends and hoping that they would move to Beaufort. And that's kind of where that started. And I'm really grateful.
That's awesome.
And I read her book before I met her. So that was exciting. I was like, I can't wait to meet her. I love the book so much. Yeah.
Yes.
Sweet. Thank you.
Well, that is good. That is so great. Let's see, kind of moving right along. Susie McMahon is a genius, and she has been putting together getaways to the Low Country. And the next one is March 25th through the 30th of 2025, the Low Country Literary and Leisure Getaway, benefiting the Pat Conroy Literary Center. She invites authors and readers to build community through this time that they spend in the Low Country, in Beaufort and the surrounding areas, bringing the pages of the books of Pat Conroy to life so creatively. I just got a chill down my back describing that. I don't know about y'all. But Susie has some even more special things planned for this coming getaway. And Rebecca and Carolyn are co-hosting a personal essay writing workshop. Ladies, do you want me to read the description of the workshop, or would you like to just talk about it a little bit?
Carolyn wrote that description, and is perfect. It's a good start. So maybe read that and let her say a little bit more about it.
Okay. So in March of 2025, join Rebecca and Carolyn for an inspiring personal essay writing workshop. In the workshop, you'll engage in innovative writing exercises and prompts designed to unlock your creativity and personal voice. Explore the power of using sensory details to craft vivid narratives inspired by your own photographs from the week at the getaway. Imagine your future self through introspective letter writing. The workshop blends hands-on writing time and engaging discussions, providing a supportive environment to explore and express your unique stories. Whether you're a seasoned writer or just beginning, this workshop will equip you with new tools to craft compelling and genuine personal essays. Okay. So this is what we're going into August. So September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So we can almost say 6 months away. Okay. Do you want to talk a little bit about it? And then I do have a question.
I think we just, Becky has started with her Substack writing some really beautiful personal essays that have really struck a chord with a really large audience. And I think that, and I've really enjoyed watching her audience grow and getting a kick vicariously out of just the power of seeing somebody being able to just really bring the power of your own personal story, but also with universal themes. So, and that'll be what we'll be working with in the workshop is, they'll get to pull out a photo from the week, and it might just be, I don't know, a starfish on the beach, or an oyster shell, or a bird, and whatever it is that speaks to them. And then we'll just offer a lot of encouragement and tools and ways to get started writing about not just what they saw, but maybe what it meant in their life at the time, where they are right now, what it is that struck them, with the idea that if it struck you enough to choose it out of the 5,000 photos you'll have in the week, it could possibly have a message for someone else. And in a time when we're so, I feel disconnected in our corners, that this kind of writing can build some bridges. So I'm really
That's beautiful. Very good.
I would absolutely echo that. I think, Pat Conroy, the sort of the silent partner in all of this, often invited people to tell him their stories, because he just intuitively knew that our stories are, as personal as they are, as unique as they are, they're also universal. They're also shared. I'm writing quite a lot now about the journey of grief and loss, and it's an absolutely personal experience, and yet, it's everyone's in some ways. And so I think, and Carolyn has worked in that essay world far longer than I have. I'm really still learning, but I am stunned by the resonance that we all find when we read one another's stories. Just this last week, Carolyn published a piece about her mother's dog and letting Willie go. And I never met that dog, but I felt it really deeply. And those are the things that help us to connect on a really deep, empathetic, emotional, relational, spiritual level. We share this world. And when we invite and receive opportunities to really see each other and to hear each other, through stories, through other expressions of art, it's good for us, and it does help build bridges. So that's what we're hoping. And I would really encourage anyone who's curious about it or interested in participating. We're not going to be talking a lot about how to get published or that sort of thing, but how to express the things that are within us, because that's where the beauty and the power really happens and lies.
Yes. And I will add that this portion of the getaway will take place on Fripp Island, South Carolina. So not only will folks experience the town of Beaufort, the city of Beaufort, but then on to Fripp Island and this amazing workshop. So
yeah, it's a magic place.
And it truly is for any level of writers. If you're coming to this workshop, you're already a reader. So that's pretty much all you need. And we're going to be able to have the opportunity to give a lot of one-on-one and helping participants take their piece from point A to point C, and help them. We'll have some techniques and some ways to get started. I think that's whenever I'm teaching a class, that's always like, how do you get started? I don't know how to start. And it's not always with the beginning. In many cases, it's in the middle, or sometimes it's the end. And then you work your way back. So it's definitely the opposite of intimidating. We're not looking at spelling, grammar, or punctuation, or
no red pens.
It's really just about opening your heart and connecting. And I feel like by the end of the week, I think people are just going to be overflowing with ideas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and one of the other really beautiful things that happens that every time I experience it, it's still kind of a delight and a wonder, is that we learn so much about ourselves when we write our stories. We think we know our story. We think we know how we feel. We think we know how we reacted or wanted to react or what we hope for or whatever. But as we write and as we ask, a few more questions and kind of peel off another layer or so, we find ourselves in a new way, in a way hopefully that makes us more whole and more healthy and more able to connect. It's a powerful thing to go inside. So we're
Yes.
hoping to make that accessible and not scary. There's nothing particularly mysterious about it. But it's beautiful and it's special, and so to be able to encourage that for folks is a gift.
Yes, and I think, the people, like you said, that are coming together in this community for the getaway are like-minded and such a nurturing environment that the two of you are going to set for them is going to be amazing. So,
Hope so.
Yeah.
And I feel like I didn't ever have the pleasure of knowing or meeting Pat Conroy, but I feel like everybody here that's in the group has read at least Beach Music, and he just had a way of being truly interested in other people's stories and would always say, "Tell me a story." And so I don't think people get asked to tell their story very often. And so it is an amazing process when people have the opportunity to maybe they're talking about a childhood memory or a favorite toy that they remember, or the first book where they came alive. And whatever it is, even as something very, very small, it isn't just in your everyday life. Everybody's just kind of interested in themselves. So this way you get to tell your story. And I think that's lovely.
Yeah, I know one of our former getaway guests always travels with a journal and some kind of like a color pencil. So whatever you want to slip into your luggage, if it's an iPad or if it's a laptop or something special that you like to write on, bring it, pack it, right?
Definitely.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm super excited about meeting the people that participate in all the various parts of the getaway and hearing their stories, finding out where they come from and what they bring. We enrich each other's lives when that happens.
I love the idea of traveling around a theme too. I think that's just remarkable. What a great idea. Because I can't imagine anything cooler than traveling around literature, but just to have it all here, just Beaufort's just such a community of writers and support. But I love Susie's idea to make this a whole thing.
Yes, so brilliant. And I know when I lived in Beaufort, it definitely cultivated my creativity. And so when I get to come back and visit, it's never far away and I get a recharge of that creativity. There's just something special about it, whether it's the water or the marsh or the birds or just the overall beauty that we will be experiencing during that week. It's just incredible.
And speaking of you coming back, you will be offering a poetry experience.
Yes, so another little
Tell us about
dive into using poetry as a processing mechanism, or using creativity to create change. So more to come on that. Yes,
wonderful. I'm excited about that.
Me too. I want to do all the things.
Don't want to miss any of it.
No, it's a full itinerary. I don't know if this is going on. It's probably going on Facebook and YouTube, but be sure to check luxlowcountrytravel.com, Lux Low Country Travel Facebook, Instagram. Check in the Susie L. McMahon Virtual Book Club Facebook group for details that will continue to roll out, and specifics and how to be involved. The best way to get in touch with Susie is to email her, Susie@travelbysusie.com, or Susie@luxlowcountrytravel.com. That's a long one, but that's probably the best way to reach her, by email, if you're interested in joining us. I'm going to just take a quick little look at the comments to make sure I'm not missing anything. Just a quick scroll. Okay. All right.
I have a question for Becky. She doesn't know I'm asking this.
What are friends for?
Tell us about one of your question mark Substacks that really hit a nerve, that you got a lot of response from. And was it surprising that it would have been
really surprising? So I went to Houston in mid-June to visit my niece and her little 3-year-old, my little Henry, who was having his birthday, and it was a quick weekend. And so this is kind of the setting that provoked this. When I got off the plane in Houston, I realized in that moment, I am usually better at sort of bracing myself for things, but I realized when I got off the plane that the last time that I'd landed at that airport was with Tom for a visit to MD Anderson Cancer Hospital. And so a lot of that feeling came rushing back. I had a great weekend with family and with Henry. But as I was in the gate area, on the way, waiting to fly back to Beaufort, I was reflecting on that, what it had felt like, for those memories of those trips to MD Anderson. What I had just experienced was right on the cusp of the 2-year anniversary of his death, and the words just came out. I just pulled out my journal and wrote down what I was feeling and kind of just popped it out there. I didn't edit very much. It was just, if I were more of an extrovert, I probably would have just told the stranger sitting in the seat next to me what I was feeling. But I don't do that, so I write it down. But the beauty of sharing our deepest or most beautiful or most painful, whatever, the deep emotions, the reality is that those connect with other people, because other folks, people that I don't know, are also hurting or have had losses or are facing losses. I've connected with a woman on that platform who has a really beautiful Substack titled Future Widow, the Future Widow, because she is caring for a chronically ill partner, and she knows how it ends, not when it will. But I feel like these are some of the ways that we see each other and honor one another's journeys and make safe spaces. And, part of what I hope is that if I share something like that someone somewhere knows that they're not alone with some of those feelings, because they feel really alone when there are moments and our feelings and our tears and our memories. And they are all that. They are only ours, but they're also things that we all eventually will experience in some form. And to know that we're not alone is to me, it's a great comfort. I hope it's a comfort for others. So, yeah.
Well, and for listeners that are not familiar with Substack, it's an online digital platform for writers.
Right.
I'll let you expound. And then a question has come in from Susie. How can people subscribe to Substack? So maybe a little bit in general of what is Substack, and then how do people subscribe? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, it's I'm still kind of a novice, so I'll try to explain it as well as I can. It's a newish and really easy to access sort of version of the old blog world. So you can, someone can just go to substack.com and they can look for me by my name, Rebecca Bruff, or they can find Carolyn that way. Or you can search by subject, or variations on that. But it will help you find the kind of reading or writing that you're looking for. And then when you have the option to subscribe. So most of the people who read what I write are free subscribers, which just means that that they land on a mailing list. And so when I publish something, it goes straight to their inbox on their email. They can read it or not read it. There's no obligation to do anything with it. They can unsubscribe if they get tired of it. And then there's also an option for a paid subscription, which for some writers is how they're making their living now, by writing fiction, nonfiction, news stories. I mean, it's a very broad platform with a lot of variety on it, but it's easy to access. So really substack.com, and either the name of the person or the subject that you're looking for.
Okay.
So
Very good.
Can you say any more about that?
No, and I'm behind her. And I needed a place to archive. So many of the publications that I've written for in the past are defunct, especially the print ones, and almost all the newspapers. And I have a box of stuff, but I didn't really have a place to put some of the new stuff I've worked with. So I'm really enjoying Substack, and it's fun. It's got an algorithm that will say, well, if you like Mr. Bruff's writing, you might like Carolyn Mason and a Finland.
I like that. Well, and you had mentioned about your work. So my next question is, could you each talk about what you're currently working on, whether that's a Substack project or something else?
Well, so I've got several things going on. I'm collaborating with another author to do a young reader's version of the Robert Smalls story. So this author and I are kind of alternating chapters and trying to tell the discovery of this story through the eyes of middle school kids. And it's a lot of fun. I'm learning a lot about collaborating with another author, and he's a dream to work with. So that's fun. What I'm doing on Substack is in some ways an exercise, not only in expression, but in sort of creating a rhythm. I'm trying to write something of meaning every week. And sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. But I'm really exploring the intersection of love and loss and grief and hope and wonder. There's a space where all those things kind of come together in a sometimes surprising, sometimes kind of overwhelming way. But that's in part therapy and in part sharing. And then I'm looking at a longer piece that I'll probably really dig into sometime beginning this fall to explore those same themes, but in a longer form, and hopefully a way that can really put some resources into the hands of folks. So
Nice.
It's so embryonic that it's hard to describe it. I think there's some there, but it's just taking shape now. What about you, Carolyn Mason?
I am just doing my my Low Country Weekly and Substack, and I still do some other writing in the transportation industry. But But I'm also working on a novel, a mystery novel that has kind of an environmental theme. So that's all I can really say.
Mhm.
Because
I like it.
Anything out of her.
I'm like really superstitious. But I'm excited about it. It makes you get out and have to learn about all of the Low Country, everything connected in nature in the Low Country. So the research, unfortunately, I probably love doing the research more than the plot, but I'm working on it.
That's one of the
Oh,
beauties. That's one of the beauties of writing, though. Whether it's whether it's personal or fiction, or
Mhm.
for a professional journal, it's about learning. It's about curiosity and learning and discovery, and that's life. That's growth. It's
yeah.
always a gift.
Even poetry too, because if it's not
Absolutely,
a
poetry.
personal story that's coming forth, if it's a topic that you're going to write about, you have to do a little bit of research. So it
Right.
goes through all those genres, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about you, Melissa, just this last few days. I was with a friend who lives in Colorado, but in a few weeks we're going to a poetry workshop together.
Oh,
And I'm a little bit terrified and also super excited because it's a sandbox that I've never really played in. So,
yeah.
so I'm excited about that.
That's so great. That's
Yeah.
so great. Yeah, I recently went to just a day long. They called it summer camp for writers here, and I didn't know what to expect. I thought it would be heavy on prose writers, but there were some other poets in the crowd, and it was just a really nice mix of, again, like-minded people. So when you're with people in a community, and the creativity just is it just kind of magic.
Yeah.
And Melissa, you're telling a story too, right? I mean, it's the elements of storytelling are the same, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, and when you mentioned in your workshop about voice, they had a slice of the workshop here was about voice, and it was just so great. So I know that yours is going to be just a spectacular experience as part of the Low Country Literary and Leisure Getaway 2025. So,
Well,
Right.
I'm so excited, and if any of the any of the attendees who sign up want to send us pre-info or pre-questions, we're available too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're
oh, that's so generous. Thank you. And Susie in the background has been dropping all the links to websites and Substacks and articles, I think. So thank you, Susie. And with that, I'm going to say thank you to both of you for just giving us a little sneak preview of the personal essay writing workshop for the 2025 Low Country Literary and Leisure Getaway. That portion will take place on Fripp Island. And to also thank Susie McMahon for letting me moderate tonight on her behalf. And just stay tuned, everyone. More to come. We've got book club discussions and more getaway information that will be rolling out. So I will say thank you and good night to each of you, and see you soon.
good
Thanks
night.
so much, Melissa. It's great to
That was
see
fun.
you.
Bye,
Great to see you,
Melissa.
Carolyn.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thanks a bunch, y'all. Bye-bye.